Okay, so today I'm going to inform you on the folkloric dancing. Folkloric dancing is actually practiced all over the world, but did you know that it emerged from Mexico during the 1920s? Well, according to a book I read called Dance Arts in Mexico by Eli Guerrero, the 1920s was actually the decade when the centenary of independence between Spain and Mexico occurred. This brings me to the three main points behind the dance, which is where it came from, the meaning behind it, and the costume. To give you a better understanding of where the folclorico dance came from, I will begin by first telling you where the dance was performed. As I mentioned before, the dance originated in the 1920s during the centenary of independence between Spain and Mexico. During this time, Mexico had a celebration called the Gran Noche Mexicana, which means the Grand Mexican Night. This was where they celebrated their independence from Spain. This was actually also where the dance itself was introduced by a group of folkloric dancers. And they danced a dance called Jarabe Tapatio, which means sweet syrup, which also became the iconic dance performed by folklorico dancers. Just like most cultural dances, there is a specific costume worn by the folklorico dancers. Now, what did the dancers wear? Well, the traditional dancers was a female or a male dancer, and the female dancer wore a ruffled shirt with colored ribbons and a ruffled skirt with silk colored ribbons. As for the male costume, they wore big hats called sombreros and a suit called a charro with silver studs on the pants and a big bow and white shirt, as well as a jacket. Both costumes were made for the female and male dancer to kind of stand out during special occasions, like the Gran Noche Mexicana. The last thing I would like to talk about is why the dance is practiced now more than ever. Well, the dance is seen to be practiced more throughout the decades because it is a way to maintain the Mexican culture identity alive. A U.S. Air Force Master Sergeant named Garcia Castillo, whom practiced folklorico dancing, was interviewed by Senior Airman Delay Gonzalez, whom wrote an article called Ballet Folklorico and Airman's Culture through dance. In this article, Garcia Castillo mentioned the importance behind the dance as a way for Hispanic culture to take pride of their ancestry as well as feel a self-belonging in Hispanic culture. Having the battle between Mexico and Spain to have not had the existence would mean we wouldn't have had the folklorico dance nor the meaning behind it to share with our generations to come. Folklorico dancing, as you can see, is made up of great meaning, whether it be through the costume, where it originated from, or why it is practiced. All three of these points make up the beautiful culture behind the folkloric dance. Now, really thinking back at the three main points that I informed you about today that make up folklorico dancing, one really comes into realization that if it wasn't for the battles any culture has had to go through in the past decades, we wouldn't have had all these other cultural artifacts we learn about every day in history.